The night was deep and still when Lily Martinez pushed open the heavy wooden door of the Steel Guardians clubhouse. The hinges creaked loudly, drawing the attention of 15 hard men who sat frozen in various states of recreation, playing cards, shooting pool, nursing beers. The girl stood small and fragile in the doorway, her thin frame silhouetted against the darkness outside. A rectangle of yellow light from the clubhouse stretched across the parking lot, illuminating her scuffed sneakers and worn jeans. In her hand, clutched tightly between small fingers, was a crumpled $5 bill. Time seemed to stop. The jukebox in the corner played Lynyrd Skynyrd's Simple Man at low volume, the only sound in the suddenly silent room. Cigarette smoke hung in the air like morning fog. Titan was the first to move. 6'5", 280 pounds of muscle and tattoos, his scarred face a roadmap of his time in Fallujah. He set down his cards, 3 queens and 2 kings, and stood up from the poker table. The wooden chair scraped against the floor as he pushed it back. His massive frame would have terrified most grown men, let alone a child. Yet the little girl didn't flinch as he approached. Her chin lifted, eyes steady, despite the purple bruise blooming on her left cheekbone. "This ain't a place for kids, sweetheart," Titan said, his voice surprisingly gentle for a man his size. The other bikers watched, their faces unreadable, hands still around beer bottles, pool cues suspended mid-stroke. The girl looked up at him, dark eyes too serious for her age. "Are you in charge?" Titan crouched down to her level, his knees cracking from old injuries. His scarred face, usually enough to make children cry, was now at eye level with the girl. "I am. Name's Titan. I'm the president of this chapter." "What's your name, darling?" "Lily," she whispered. "Lily Martinez." "Where are your parents, Lily? It's almost midnight." "My mom's at the hospital." Her voice cracked slightly, but she gathered herself. "She's dying." The room grew even quieter. Socket, the club's tech expert, closed his laptop. Phoenix, the only female member of the Steel Guardians, moved closer, her black boots with silver spurs making soft clicks on the wooden floor. "The doctors say Mom needs special medicine," Lily continued, words tumbling out in a desperate rush. "But we don't have insurance, and it costs $50,000. My Uncle Victor says he'll pay for it, but only if I go live with him forever." Lily's small hand tightened around the $5 bill. "Mom said no because Uncle Victor is a bad man. But if she dies, it will be my fault." She thrust the crumpled bill toward Titan. "I heard you guys do things for money. I have $5. Will you help save my mom's life?" The bikers exchanged dark looks. Every man in that room understood what bad man meant when spoken by a 9-year-old with fear in her eyes. Diesel, the sergeant-at-arms, 6'3" and heavily muscled, tattoos covering his shaved head, stood from his seat at the bar. "Where's this uncle now?" "Outside in his car," Lily said. "He drove me here. He told me bikers are criminals, and if I asked you for help, you just take my money and laugh at me." Her voice grew stronger. "But I don't care anymore because my mom is all I have." Socket moved to the window, pushing aside the faded curtain with a tattooed hand. His eyes, sharp behind black-rimmed glasses, scanned the parking lot. "Black Mercedes," he said quietly. "Engine running. Man on his phone, not even watching the door." His mouth twisted. "Confident." "Or stupid," Medic added from his corner seat. The former combat medic's medical bag was always within reach, a habit from his 3 tours in Iraq. Titan remained kneeling eye level with Lily. His scarred face, usually stern and intimidating, softened slightly. "Your uncle drove you to a biker bar in the middle of the night." Lily nodded. "He said he wanted me to learn a lesson, that nobody helps people for free, that the world is cruel and I need to understand that." The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Every man there recognized exactly what kind of lesson Lily's uncle was planning. "What hospital is your mother in?" Titan asked, his voice controlled but tight with anger. "St. Mary's, room 304. Lily's voice grew clinical, like she'd memorized the details. "She has stage 4 cervical cancer. The doctors say there's an experimental treatment that could save her, but it's expensive, and insurance won't cover it." Medic pulled out his phone. "I know people at St. Mary's from my paramedic days. Let me make some calls." Lily held out her $5 bill again, hand trembling slightly. "This is all I have." Will you help me save my mom? Titan looked at that crumpled bill. It was worn and soft, probably saved from lunch money over many weeks. Something in his chest tightened, a feeling he hadn't experienced since before his time in Fallujah. He'd seen terrible things in his life. War zones where children became orphans in seconds, prison yards where the strong devoured the weak, streets where violence was the only language everyone understood. But watching a 9-year-old girl offer her last $5 to save her dying mother, while her predator uncle waited outside, hit differently. Keep your money, Lily, Titan said quietly. We'll help you. But first, we need to have a chat with your uncle. Lily's eyes widened with fear. He'll get mad. When he gets mad, he... She stopped suddenly, fingers unconsciously touching the bruise on her face. The bikers saw that bruise. They saw the way Lily's sentence remained unfinished. They saw everything they needed to see. Phoenix, Titan called to the female biker. Stay with Lily. Phoenix nodded, her face a mask of controlled rage. She'd been a social worker before becoming a Steel Guardian, specializing in child protection cases. She knew the signs. The tribal tattoos covering her arms shifted as she moved toward Lily, her voice gentling. Come on, sweetheart. Let's get you something to drink. You like cherry Coke? As Phoenix led Lily to the bar, Titan straightened to his full height. His voice was ice. The rest of you, outside. Now. 14 bikers filed out of the clubhouse in formation, boots heavy on wooden floors, then crunching on gravel, leather vests with the Steel Guardians patch, a medieval knight's helmet with angel wings, caught the moonlight. These were men with histories of violence, with prison time, with military service in the world's worst conflicts. Men whose society had written off, feared, or forgotten. The Mercedes driver finally looked up from his phone, his smug expression faltering as he realized he was surrounded by a semicircle of bikers. Each face was harder than the last. Victor Ramirez stepped out of the car slowly, mid-40s, wearing an expensive suit, hair perfectly styled. A Rolex gleamed on his wrist. He was the kind of man who looked respectable, trustworthy, successful. The kind neighbors would describe as always so polite to news cameras after something terrible was discovered. Gentlemen, Victor said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. I assume my niece made it inside safely? I told her this little excursion would be educational. Your niece, Titan said, voice flat as a desert highway, offered us $5 to save her mother's life. Then she told us some interesting things about you. Victor's smile tightened. Lily has an active imagination. Her mother has filled her head with nonsense. I'm simply trying to help family during a difficult time. By bringing a 9-year-old to a biker bar at midnight to teach her a lesson? Diesel stepped closer, massive arms crossed over his chest, the skull tattoos on his knuckles catching the parking lot's security light. To show her reality, Victor said, his voice taking on an edge. Her mother is dying. Someone needs to take custody. I'm the only family they have left. I'm offering to pay for the treatment, but there are conditions. Lily needs to understand that. What conditions? Socket asked, his lean frame tensing like a coiled spring. That's between me and my sister, Victor said coldly. Now, I've been patient, but I'm taking Lily home. We have paperwork to sign at the hospital. Lily's not going anywhere with you, Titan said, stepping forward. The club president's shadow fell across Victor's face. Victor's mask slipped. His eyes went cold, calculating. You're interfering with a family matter. I could call the police right now. Report that a motorcycle gang is holding my niece hostage. Go ahead, Titan said. Call them. We'll wait. Victor pulled out his phone, but before he could dial, Medic emerged from the clubhouse, his expression grim. Just got off the phone with Dr. Williams at St. Mary's, Medic announced. Elena Martinez has been fighting cervical cancer for 2 years. She declined rapidly 3 months ago after her husband died in a construction accident. The experimental treatment could save her life, but it's not covered by insurance. Which is why I'm offering to pay the $50,000, Victor interrupted, if Lily comes to live with me. It's a fair trade. Is it? Medic stepped closer, his voice dropping. Because Dr. Williams also mentioned something interesting. Elena Rodriguez has been refusing to sign custody papers for weeks. She's terrified of you having access to her daughter. so terrified that she'd rather die than let Lily live with you. Victor's face flushed red. My sister is delusional from the pain medication. She's not thinking clearly. Or she's thinking very clearly, Titan said, moving closer until he towered over Victor. Clear enough to know exactly what kind of man you are. You don't know anything about me, Victor snarled, composure cracking. Don't I? Titan pulled out his phone and showed Victor the screen. Vincent Ramirez, that's your real name, isn't it? You changed it to Victor 5 years ago after you were investigated for inappropriate conduct with a minor in Oregon. No charges filed because the family accepted a settlement. Then you moved to California, changed your name, started fresh. Victor's face went white. How did you? I was Special Forces, Titan said quietly. I know how to find things, find people, find secrets. The parking lot was silent except for the distant sound of traffic on the highway. 14 bikers formed a semicircle around Victor, cutting off any escape route. I'm calling the police, Victor said, voice shaking slightly. Now, no, Diesel said, stepping forward. You're not. You're going to get in your car, drive away, and never contact Lily or her mother again. You're going to disappear from their lives permanently. And if I don't? Victor had recovered some composure, arrogance returning. Then we make some calls of our own, Titan said. To the family in Oregon, who took your settlement, to the other families I found during my quick search. 3 of them across 2 states, all with daughters around Lily's age, all paid off to keep quiet. Victor's hands were shaking now, but his eyes burned with hatred. You're bluffing. Try me, Titan said, because if you don't leave right now, I'm calling Detective Sarah Morrison. She's with the Crimes Against Children unit. She's also Diesel's sister. She'd love to talk to you about some cold cases she's been working on. This is extortion, Victor spat. No, Socket said quietly. Extortion is what you did to Elena, offering to save her life only if she hands over her daughter to a predator. What we're doing is called justice. Victor looked around at the circle of bikers, men who'd seen combat, done time, lived hard lives, men who knew exactly how to make problems disappear. You have 10 seconds to get in your car, Titan said. Then we call the detective, your choice. Victor's ego warred with his survival instinct. Survival won. He got in his Mercedes without another word, hands fumbling with the keys. The engine roared to life and he peeled out of the parking lot, tires squealing. The bikers watched until his tail lights disappeared into the night. He'll come back, Diesel said, lighting a cigarette. No, he won't, Titan replied. Medic, you get that recording? Medic held up his phone. Every word, admission of conditional assistance, threatening behavior, everything. Plus, I've got friends in Oregon who are very interested in talking to Mr. Ramirez. Good, Titan turned back toward the clubhouse. Now let's figure out how to save Lily's mother. Inside, Lily was sitting at the bar with Phoenix, drinking a cherry Coke with a bendy straw. She looked up when the bikers returned, her face anxious. Is my uncle gone? He's gone, Titan confirmed, and he's not coming back. Lily's small shoulders sagged with relief. Then her face crumpled. But my mom, the medicine, I only have $5. Titan sat on the bar stool beside her. Do you know what this club does, Lily? She shook her head. We protect people. That's our code. Women, children, people who can't protect themselves. He looked around at his brothers. These men society had labeled dangerous. Your uncle brought you here thinking we'd laugh at you, take your money, prove to you that the world is cruel. He turned back to Lily. But he was wrong. The world can be cruel, but it can also be kind. It can also be full of people who give a damn. Diesel pulled out his phone. Making some calls. We've got brothers in other chapters. Let's see what we can raise. I'm calling the VSHA, Medic said, already dialing. We've got veteran support networks, medical fundraising contacts. Socket opened his laptop, setting up a crowdfunding page. Steel Guardians rescue dying mother. This will go viral in hours. Phoenix squeezed Lily's hand. Sweetheart, you walked into the right place. We're going to save your mom. I promise you that. Lily looked around at these rough men and women, covered in tattoos and scars, now all on phones and computers, reaching out to their networks. Tears filled her eyes. Why would you help us? You don't even know us. Titan was quiet for a moment. Then he rolled up his sleeve, revealing a faded photograph tattooed on his forearm, a young woman with a baby. I had a little girl once, and a wife. Lost them both because I wasn't there when they needed me. Was deployed overseas. His voice grew rough. Some things you don't get second chances at. But sometimes life gives you a shot at doing the right thing for someone else. That's what we're doing here. Over the next hours, the clubhouse transformed into a war room. Phones rang constantly. Bikers from 5 different chapters pledged money. Veterans organizations contributed. The crowdfunding page exploded with donations after Socket shared it on social media. By 3 in the morning, they had raised $10,000. Diesel assigned 2 members to sleep in shifts outside Phoenix's house, where Lily would stay temporarily. Socket continued monitoring the funding page and Victor's movements through traffic cameras. Medic arranged for a meeting with Elena's doctors first thing in the morning. When dawn broke, Lily had finally fallen asleep on the old leather couch in the corner of the clubhouse, covered with Phoenix's jacket. The clubhouse was littered with coffee cups and pizza boxes. The crowdfunding total stood at $22,000. Titan stared at the sleeping child, her small face peaceful for the first time since she'd walked through their door. "We need to talk," Medic said quietly, joining him. "Just got more details from Dr. Williams. Elena's situation is worse than we thought. The cancer has spread. Even with the treatment, her chances are maybe 40%. Titan's jaw tightened. "Does the treatment have to be at St. Mary's?" "No, but then we find somewhere better. Call your contacts at the VA hospital. They've got that new cancer wing." Medic nodded. "I'll make the calls." By 9 in the morning, Lily woke to find the clubhouse even busier. More bikers had arrived. Women were cooking breakfast in the small kitchen. The funding page showed 31,000. Titan sat next to Lily as she ate pancakes that Phoenix had made. "We're going to see your mom today. The doctors are going to start her treatment soon." Lily's fork paused halfway to her mouth. "Really? You got the money already?" "Working on it," Titan said. "But the doctors won't wait. We've made arrangements." What Titan didn't tell her was that the Steel Guardians had put up their clubhouse as collateral for a loan to cover the remaining amount. The building that had been their sanctuary for 15 years was now on the line. Medic and Socket returned from a quick trip to Lily's apartment to get her clean clothes and school books. They exchanged glances with Titan, who nodded for them to speak. "Lily," Socket said gently, "we stopped by your place to pick up your things. Someone had been there. Drawers were open, papers were missing." Lily's eyes widened in fear. "Uncle Victor?" "Probably," Diesel said, checking his gun before tucking it back into his holster. "But don't worry, we've got people watching the hospital. He won't get near your mom." Phoenix helped Lily get cleaned up in the small bathroom. She gently applied concealer to the bruise on Lily's face, her practiced hands revealing her experience with domestic violence victims. "How long has your uncle been hurting you?" Phoenix asked softly, careful to keep her voice neutral. Lily stared at the floor. "Since Dad died, he started coming around more, said he was checking on us." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Mom doesn't know about the hitting. I didn't want her to worry while she's sick." Phoenix's hand trembled slightly as she finished covering the bruise. "You're very brave, Lily, but you don't have to be brave alone anymore. You've got us now." By 11, Titan, Phoenix, and Medic were ready to take Lily to St. Mary's Hospital. The rest of the chapter would stay behind to coordinate the financial transfers and ensure Victor hadn't tried to return. As Lily climbed into Titan's massive truck, she suddenly remembered something and ran back into the clubhouse. She returned moments later and thrust the crumpled $5 bill at Titan. "You still need this, right, for Mom's medicine?" Titan looked at the worn bill, then at the girl's earnest face. He took it gently and folded it carefully before putting it in his wallet. "I'll keep it safe," he said. "It might be the most important $5 I've ever seen." St. Mary's Hospital was quiet for a weekday morning. The Steel Guardians stood out starkly against the sterile white walls. Titan's massive frame and scarred face, Phoenix's leather vest and tribal tattoos, Medic's military bearing. Hospital staff stared as they walked through the corridors, Lily between them like a protected treasure. Dr. Williams met them outside room 304. He was younger than they expected, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He looked at the bikers warily, then at Lily with genuine concern. "Lily, good to see you again," he said warmly before turning to the bikers. "You must be the help she mentioned yesterday. I'm Dr. Williams." "Titan." The club president shook the doctor's hand. "This is Phoenix and Medic. We're here to help Miss Martinez with her treatment." Dr. Williams glanced at his clipboard. "About that, we need to be honest with you. Even with the experimental treatment, Elena's chances are maybe 40%. The cancer is advanced." "But there's a chance," Phoenix said firmly. The doctor nodded. "There's a chance." "Then we take it," Titan said. "What do you need from us?" "Normally, I'd need the full payment up front before we can order the medication," Dr. Williams began. "We've raised $31,000, Medic said. "The rest will be here by end of day." Dr. Williams looked surprised. "That's impressive. Most families take weeks to raise that kind of money, if they can at all." "We're not most families," Phoenix said, placing a protective hand on Lily's shoulder. Dr. Williams studied them for a moment, then nodded. "I'll get the paperwork started and order the medication. It should arrive tomorrow morning. We can begin treatment immediately after." "I want to see my mom," Lily said, her voice small but determined. "Of course," Dr. Williams said. "She's been asking for you, but I should warn you, she's very weak today. The pain medication makes her drift in and out." Lily nodded bravely. "I understand." The doctor opened the door to room 304. The bikers stayed back, giving Lily space as she entered the dimly lit room. Elena Martinez lay in the hospital bed, her once beautiful face now gaunt and pale. IV lines ran from her arms, and a heart monitor beeped steadily beside her. At 36, she looked a decade older, the cancer having stripped away her vitality. "Mama?" Lily approached the bed carefully. "Mama, it's me." Elena's eyes flickered open. They were the same dark brown as Lily's, but clouded with pain and medication. "Lily? Baby, where have you been? I was worried." Her voice was barely above a whisper. "I'm okay, Mama," Lily said, taking her mother's frail hand. "I've found people to help us. They're going to pay for your medicine." Elena's confused gaze moved past Lily to the doorway, where the three bikers stood respectfully. Her eyes widened slightly. "Who?" "They're friends, Mama," Lily explained. "The Steel Guardians. They're helping us. They made Uncle Victor go away. They raised money for your medicine." A tear slipped down Elena's sunken cheek. "Victor, he wanted to take you." Her agitation made the heart monitor beep faster. "He's gone, Mama," Lily assured her. "He can't hurt us anymore." Elena's gaze fixed on Titan, this massive tattooed man who looked like he belonged in a prison yard, not a hospital room. "Why would you help us?" she whispered. Titan stepped forward, suddenly conscious of his size in the small room. He removed his leather vest out of respect, revealing a faded Army Ranger's t-shirt underneath. "Because your daughter is the bravest person I've met in a long time," he said simply. "And because everyone deserves a fighting chance." Elena studied him through pain-clouded eyes. Then, with great effort, she lifted her hand toward him. "Thank you." Titan gently took her fragile hand in his massive one. "You focus on getting better, Ms. Martinez. We'll take care of the rest." "Lily," Elena's voice grew concerned. "Where will Lily stay?" Phoenix stepped forward. "I'm Phoenix. I'm a licensed foster parent and social worker. Lily can stay with me until you recover, if that's okay with you." Elena looked at this tough woman with tribal tattoos and a gentle voice. After a moment, she nodded slightly. "Keep her safe." "With my life," Phoenix promised. Dr. Williams returned with admission forms and treatment consent papers. The three bikers stepped out to give Elena and Lily privacy, standing guard in the hallway like sentinels. Diesel called with updates. The crowdfunding page had exploded after a local news station picked up the story. They were now at 42,000. Socket had placed a trace on Victor's credit cards and was monitoring his movements. He'd checked into a hotel across town, but hadn't left the building. As Titan ended the call, Medic nudged him and nodded toward the end of the hallway. A man in an expensive suit was speaking with a hospital administrator, gesturing emphatically. The administrator looked uncomfortable. "Trouble," Medic murmured. 3 o'clock. Titan turned to see the man pointing in their direction. "Phoenix, stay with Lily and her mother. Medic, with me." The two bikers moved toward the conversation. As they approached, they could hear the man's insistent tone. As her brother-in-law and only living male relative, I have every right to information about her condition. I'm the one paying for her treatment, after all. Victor Ramirez had returned, this time with a different approach. Titan and Medic exchanged glances. The battle for Lily's future was just beginning, and the enemy had returned stronger than before. Victor Ramirez spotted Titan and Medic approaching and smoothed his tie with manicured fingers. The hospital administrator, a nervous man with thinning hair and a name badge reading Collins, glanced between the bikers and Victor with growing unease. These men, Victor said, gesturing dismissively toward Titan and Medic, are interfering with my family's medical decisions. They've manipulated my emotionally vulnerable niece and are preventing me from seeing my dying sister. Titan's face remained impassive, a skill learned during interrogations in dusty rooms halfway around the world. Mr. Ramirez was explicitly asked by Ms. Martinez not to return. He's been barred from making medical decisions for her. That's absurd, Victor countered, his voice reasonable and measured, the voice of a respectable businessman confused by irrational opposition. Elena is heavily medicated and confused. She needs someone looking out for her best interests. As her only living adult relative, Ms. Martinez has made her wishes clear, Medic interrupted, his voice carrying the quiet authority of someone used to making life or death decisions under pressure. Dr. Williams has documentation of her refusal to grant you medical power of attorney. Administrator Collins's eyes darted nervously between the parties. On one side, a well-dressed businessman with a concerned expression. On the other, two intimidating bikers with leather vests and stern faces. The optics weren't in their favor, and Titan knew it. Perhaps, Collins suggested, sweat beading on his forehead, we should discuss this in my office. There's nothing to discuss, Victor said smoothly. I've already spoken with my attorney who's drawing up emergency guardianship papers for Lily. Once those are processed, as her legal guardian, I'll naturally have a say in her mother's care. Titan stepped forward, using his size to full advantage. Lily is currently under temporary emergency placement with a licensed foster parent who's also a certified social worker. Any guardianship claim will have to go through proper channels. Victor's confident expression flickered slightly. What foster parent? Child Protective Services hasn't even been notified yet. They have, Medic said. Phoenix filed the paperwork this morning. Emergency placement due to suspected abuse. Those bruises on Lily's face didn't appear by magic. Victor's face darkened momentarily before his mask of concern slipped back into place. My niece is clumsy, always has been. Falls off her bike, runs into things. Elena never supervised her properly even before she got sick. Administrator Collins cleared his throat. Gentlemen, this is clearly a complex family situation that needs to be resolved through proper legal channels. In the meantime, I must insist you keep the peace in my hospital. I simply want to see my sister, Victor insisted, his voice expertly modulated to convey reasonable concern. And she doesn't want to see you, Titan replied flatly. We have recorded evidence of your attempt to coerce her into signing away custody of her daughter in exchange for life-saving medication. That's extortion. Colin's eyes widened. Victor's mask slipped again, anger flashing across his features before he regained control. Ridiculous accusations from criminals, Victor said dismissively. Mr. Collins, these men are members of a notorious motorcycle gang. Are you really taking their word over that of a respectable businessman? Collins hesitated, his bureaucratic mind clearly calculating liability and risk. May I suggest, Medic interjected smoothly, that you simply ask Dr. Williams about Ms. Martinez's wishes, and perhaps check whether there's already a record of Mr. Ramirez being barred from her room? Collins seemed relieved at this reasonable solution. Yes, let me consult with Dr. Williams. Please wait here. As Collins hurried off, Victor's pleasant facade vanished. You have no idea who you're dealing with, he hissed, voice low enough that only Titan and Medic could hear. I have friends in this city, powerful friends, judges, police captains, council members. Titan didn't blink. And we have evidence, plus a detective in crimes against children who's very interested in your history in Oregon. Victor's jaw tightened. You think you've won? This is just beginning. By the time I'm done, you'll wish you'd never met my niece. Medic's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. Socket says Victor checked out of his hotel 30 minutes ago. Paid cash. He looked up at the man standing before them. So who's in your hotel room right now, using your name? A flicker of surprise crossed Victor's face before he suppressed it. I have no idea what you're talking about. From down the hallway, Dr. Williams emerged from Elena's room with Collins. Their conversation stopped when they saw the standoff between Victor and the bikers. Dr. Williams approached, clipboard in hand. Mr. Ramirez, I have reviewed Ms. Martinez's file. She has explicitly requested that you not be allowed in her room or given information about her condition. Furthermore, there's a notation about possible domestic abuse involving her daughter. Under these circumstances, I cannot allow you to visit. Victor's mask slipped completely. This is outrageous. I'm her family. I'm offering to pay for her treatment. Actually, Dr. Williams said, checking his tablet, the treatment has already been paid for in full. Victor's head snapped toward Titan. Impossible. You couldn't have raised $50,000 overnight. We have friends too, Titan said simply. Lots of them. Collins cleared his throat again. Mr. Ramirez, I must ask you to respect the patient's wishes and leave the premises. If you refuse, I'll be forced to call security. Victor's face flushed with anger, but his eyes calculated. After a moment, he straightened his tie again. Fine, but this isn't over. Not by a long shot. He turned on his heel and walked away, his Italian leather shoes clicking on the hospital linoleum. Titan watched him go, the sense of temporary victory overshadowed by certainty that Victor was right about one thing. This was just beginning. Dr. Williams approached them once Victor was out of earshot. The paperwork's all complete. We've ordered the medication. It should arrive tomorrow morning. Is it true, Medic asked quietly, that it's been paid in full? Williams nodded. About 20 minutes ago. The final amount came through. I've scheduled Elena to begin treatment first thing tomorrow. Titan and Medic exchanged glances. Socket must have pulled off a miracle with the fundraising. There's something else you should know, Dr. Williams added, lowering his voice. I didn't want to say this in front of Mr. Ramirez, but Elena's condition is deteriorating faster than we expected. Her latest blood work shows the cancer is accelerating. Even with the new treatment, I'm concerned about her chances. Medic's expression grew grave. What are we looking at? Without treatment, weeks, maybe days. With treatment, Dr. Williams sighed, it's still only a 40% chance, and that's if she responds well. Some patients don't respond at all. Does she know? Titan asked. Yes, she's remarkably clear-eyed about her situation, despite the pain medication. She made me promise to be honest with her. Dr. Williams glanced toward Elena's room. She's more concerned about Lily than herself. We'll take care of Lily, Titan promised. Whatever happens. Dr. Williams studied the scarred biker for a moment, then nodded. I believe you will. It's strange, when Lily first mentioned bikers were going to help her mother, I thought she was confused or making up stories. Shows what I know. The doctor excused himself to check on other patients. Titan and Medic returned to Elena's room, where Phoenix sat beside the bed, quietly talking with Elena, while Lily had fallen asleep in a chair by the window. Phoenix looked up as they entered. Her expression told them she'd already heard about Elena's deteriorating condition. How's she doing? Titan asked softly. In and out, Phoenix replied. She's been telling me about Lily, how smart she is, how she wants to be a doctor someday. Elena's eyes fluttered open at the sound of voices. Her gaze found Titan. You dealt with Victor? Her voice was barely a whisper. For now, Titan said honestly, he'll be back, but we'll be ready. Elena's fragile hand reached for his. Her fingers were ice cold. He's dangerous, more than you know. What do you mean? Elena's eyes darted to Lily, ensuring her daughter was still asleep. His business, not what people think. Bad things, illegal things. He threatened my husband before he died. The accident might not have been an accident. Titan and Medic exchanged glances. What kind of business is Victor really in, Elena? Pharmaceuticals, she whispered. But not legal ones, using real companies as fronts, money laundering. When my husband found out, Victor started visiting more, watching us. Her breathing became labored with the effort of speaking. Save your strength, Phoenix urged gently. The treatment starts tomorrow. Elena's eyes filled with tears. If I don't make it, promise me. Keep Lily away from him. He only wants her to hurt me. And after I'm gone, she couldn't finish the thought. Nothing's going to happen to you, Titan said firmly, and Victor will never get near Lily again. That's a promise. A tear slid down Elena's hollow cheek. Why are you helping us? You don't even know us. Titan was silent for a moment. The question had been asked before, but now, seeing this dying mother desperately trying to protect her child, he found a deeper answer. Because 20 years ago, in a place far from here, I couldn't save someone I should have protected. Because sometimes the world gives you a second chance to do the right thing. He looked at the sleeping child by the window. And because your daughter walked into our clubhouse with $5 and more courage than most men I've known. Elena's eyes held his for a long moment. Then she nodded slightly, understanding. Second chances, she whispered. We all need them. The sun was setting when Titan, Phoenix, and Lily left the hospital. Medics stayed behind to coordinate with the medical team about Elena's treatment plan. Outside, 2 more Steel Guardians, Wolf and Hammer, waited with their motorcycles, standing guard. Socket called, Wolf reported quietly to Titan. Said to tell you Victor's made 3 calls to a burner phone in the past hour. He's planning something, Titan muttered. Double the watch at the clubhouse in Phoenix's place. Phoenix led Lily to her truck, a black Ford F-150 with custom purple pinstriping. Ready to see your temporary home, kiddo? It's not fancy, but it's safe. Lily nodded tiredly. The emotional strain of the day had exhausted her. Will my mom really be okay? Phoenix exchanged a glance with Titan over Lily's head. The doctors are doing everything they can, and so are we. As Phoenix drove away with Lily, Wolf approached Titan. There's something else. Diesel's sister, the detective, she wants to meet, says it's important. Titan nodded. Where? Diner on 5th, 20 minutes. The Lucky Star Diner was nearly empty when Titan arrived. Detective Sarah Morrison sat in a back booth, a cup of coffee cooling in front of her. Unlike her brother Diesel with his massive frame and tattooed head, Sarah was small and unassuming, easily overlooked, a valuable trait in her line of work. She didn't look up as Titan slid into the booth across from her. You're making waves, she said, stirring her coffee. Big ones. Didn't have much choice, Titan replied. Sarah finally met his eyes. Victor Ramirez is not just some pervert uncle. He's connected. Pharmaceuticals, yes, but also politics, real estate development, donates to the Police Benevolent Fund, sponsors charity galas, plays golf with the DA. And we're supposed to look the other way because he's rich and connected? I'm saying be careful, Sarah warned. I've been building a case against him for months. Child exploitation, possibly human trafficking, but it's complicated and delicate. Now you've put him in a corner. He was going to take Lily, Titan said, his voice hardening. Use her mother's cancer as leverage. Sarah sighed. I know. And I'm glad you stepped in. But now he's accelerating his plans, making calls, moving assets. Whatever he was planning for the future, he's doing it now. What kind of plans? Sarah glanced around the empty diner, then slid a file across the table. 6 months ago, a 10-year-old girl disappeared from a foster home in Portland. 2 months before that, an 11-year-old in Seattle. Both had similar profiles to Lily. Hispanic, dark hair, no father in the picture. Both had mothers who suddenly developed drug problems and lost custody. Titan opened the file. Photos of young girls stared back at him, their eyes hauntingly similar to Lily's. You think Victor is connected. I know he was in both cities when the girls disappeared. I know he has properties in both locations. I know he has a pattern of inserting himself into vulnerable families. Sarah tapped the file. But knowing and proving are different things. What about the Oregon case? The settlement? Sealed by court order. Family moved away afterward. No one knows where. Sarah's face hardened. But I found something else. The judge who sealed the case received a substantial donation to his re-election campaign from a shell company. Guess who owns the shell company? Victor. Bingo. Sarah took a sip of her cold coffee and grimaced. I need more time to build this case properly. If Victor feels cornered, he might destroy evidence. Or worse, accelerate whatever operation he's running. Titan closed the file, his jaw tight. We're not backing off, not with Lily's safety at stake. I'm not asking you to, Sarah replied. I'm asking you to coordinate with me, share information. Let me know your moves before you make them. We want the same thing, to protect Lily and put Victor away. Titan studied the detective. Despite her small stature, there was steel in her eyes, the same steel he recognized in her brother. Diesel says you're solid. That's good enough for me. Sarah almost smiled. High praise from my brother. She slid a burner phone across the table. Use this to contact me. Direct line, untraceable. I'll do the same. As Titan pocketed the phone, Sarah added, there's one more thing you should know. Victor has a private security firm on retainer, ex-military contractors. They don't just provide security, they handle his special problems. Meaning? Meaning watch your backs, all of you. Sarah stood, dropping cash for her coffee, especially Phoenix and the girl. Phoenix's house was a modest craftsman-style home on a quiet street lined with oak trees. Inside, it was warm and comfortable, with bookcases lining the walls and soft lighting. Nothing about it suggested its owner was a member of a motorcycle club. This is your room, Phoenix said, showing Lily a small but cozy bedroom decorated in blues and greens. It used to be my office, but I cleared it out. We can get your things from your apartment tomorrow. Lily sat on the edge of the bed, clutching her backpack. How long will I stay here? Phoenix sat beside her. Until your mom gets better. Or longer, if needed. Whatever happens, you're not alone, okay? Lily nodded, but her eyes filled with tears. What if the medicine doesn't work? What if she couldn't finish. Phoenix wrapped an arm around the girl's thin shoulders. Then you'll still have us. But let's not borrow trouble. Your mom is strong, just like you. After settling Lily in with dinner and helping her unpack the few belongings Medic and Socket had retrieved from her apartment, Phoenix found the girl standing at the living room window, staring at the two steel guardians parked across the street on their motorcycles. Are they staying all night? Lily asked. Yes, Phoenix said, coming to stand beside her. That's Wolf and Hammer. They'll be replaced by Diesel and Socket in the morning. Lily was quiet for a moment. Uncle Victor is going to try to take me away, isn't he? Phoenix couldn't lie to her. He might try, but he won't succeed. He always gets what he wants, Lily whispered. That's what he told me. He said nobody ever says no to him for long. Phoenix turned the girl gently to face her. Lily, I need you to tell me something important. Has your uncle ever hurt you in ways that made you uncomfortable? Touched you in ways that felt wrong? Lily's eyes dropped to the floor. He tried once. When Mom was at chemo, I ran away and hid at Mrs. Garcia's apartment next door. After that, I never stayed alone with him. Phoenix controlled her rage, keeping her voice gentle. You did exactly the right thing, sweetheart. And you never have to be alone with him again. Later that night, after Lily had fallen asleep, Phoenix sat at her kitchen table with her service weapon disassembled for cleaning. The front door opened quietly as Titan let himself in with the spare key she'd given him. She asleep? He asked softly. Phoenix nodded. Finally, she's afraid to close her eyes, afraid he'll come while she's sleeping. He'd have to get through Wolf, Hammer, and you first, Titan said, settling his massive frame into a kitchen chair. Plus whatever booby traps you've set up. Phoenix allowed a small smile. Just the usual. Motion sensors, door alarms. She reassembled her gun with practiced efficiency. Lily told me Victor tried to touch her inappropriately. She escaped, but he's been working on isolating her for months. Titan's scarred face hardened. Sarah thinks he's involved in human trafficking, specifically young Hispanic girls. Phoenix's hands stilled. Jesus. She's been building a case for months, says we need to coordinate with her. Titan recounted his meeting with the detective. If Sarah's right about Victor's security team, we need more protection, Phoenix said. Not just for Lily, but for Elena too. Once she starts treatment, she'll be even more vulnerable. Titan nodded. I've already called in members from other chapters. We'll have round-the-clock coverage at the hospital and here. Phoenix finished with her gun and holstered it. Socket mentioned the fundraising was complete. How'd he pull that off so quickly? Not just Socket, veterans groups, other MC chapters, local businesses. Word spread fast. Titan rubbed his tired eyes. Plus, we put up the clubhouse as collateral for a bridge loan to cover the gap. Phoenix stared at him. The clubhouse? Titan, that's all some of the guys have. We voted, unanimous. Titan's voice left no room for argument. We can find another building if it comes to that. We can't find another Lily if Victor gets to her. A text alert sounded on Titan's phone. Socket, he said, checking the message. He's been digging into Victor's business dealings. Says he found something big. He's at the clubhouse. Phoenix glanced toward Lily's room. Go. I've got this covered here. The Steel Guardians clubhouse was buzzing with the activity, despite the late hour. Socket had converted the pool table into a command center, his multiple laptops and monitors displaying financial records, property deeds, and surveillance footage. What have you got? Titan asked, joining the techie biker. Socket pushed his glasses up his nose, his eyes bright with the thrill of discovery. Victor Ramirez is a ghost, or rather, Vincent Ramirez is. The name change 5 years ago was just the beginning. He's created an entire network of shell companies and false identities. He pointed to a complex diagram on one screen. He's on the board of directors for Ascendant RX Pharmaceuticals, a legitimate company that manufactures cancer drugs, including the experimental one Elena needs. So he really could afford the $50,000, Diesel observed from his position nearby. That's just the surface, Socket continued. The shell companies own properties across 5 states, low-profile places in remote areas. I've identified at least 3 locations with unusual security, high fences, guard rotations, surveillance systems. Titan leaned closer to the screen. Compounds? Exactly. Socket pulled up satellite imagery. This one in rural Oregon has been operational for at least 4 years. Regular deliveries of supplies, but nothing ever leaves, at least nothing documented. Medic who had returned from the hospital studied the images. Holding facilities. The room went quiet as the implications sank in. Socket nodded grimly. It gets worse. Victor doesn't just sit on Ascendant RX's board. Through his shell companies, he's their largest shareholder. And guess what drug they've been artificially limiting the supply of to drive up prices? Elena's cancer treatment, Titan growled. Bingo. The experimental treatment isn't even that experimental. It's been proven effective for years, but they've restricted distribution to keep the price astronomical. Mo Socket pulled up another screen. And there's a pattern. In the past 3 years, 6 Hispanic women with young daughters have been diagnosed with the same aggressive cancer. All were single mothers. All were approached by charitable organizations offering to pay for treatment in exchange for guardianship of their children. How many accepted? Medic asked quietly. 4, Socket answered. Their daughters disappeared into the foster system afterward, then vanished completely. The 2 who refused died when their cancer unexpectedly accelerated. Their daughters were placed with relatives who later reported them missing. Son of a bitch, Diesel muttered. He's manufacturing a supply chain, creating vulnerable kids by making their mothers sick. Titan's fists clenched. You're saying he's deliberately giving these women cancer? Socket nodded slowly. I think someone at Ascendant RX is exposing targeted women to carcinogens, creating customers for their treatments, and, simultaneously, creating vulnerable children for Victor's other enterprise. How do we prove it? Titan demanded. That's the problem. It's all circumstantial. We'd need access to Ascendant RX's internal records, medical histories of the affected women, proof of tampering. Socket ran a hand through his disheveled hair. Without that, it's just a conspiracy theory. Diesel pounded the table. We don't need proof for a courtroom. We know what this bastard is doing. But Sarah needs proof, Titan reminded him. If we want Victor put away permanently, she needs evidence that will stand up in court. A commotion at the clubhouse door interrupted their discussion. Wolf burst in, his face grim. We've got trouble. Phoenix just called. Someone tried to break into her house. Titan was already moving. Lily? Safe. Phoenix took her to the panic room, but one of the intruders got away. Who were they? Diesel demanded. Professional. Military gear, night vision, coordinated approach. Wolf's expression darkened. Phoenix recognized one of them. Former Army Ranger turned mercenary, goes by the name Viper. Titan's blood ran cold. Sarah was right. Victor's not waiting. He's making his move now. The Steel Guardians mobilized instantly. Weapons were checked, communications established. As they prepared to head to Phoenix's house, Titan's phone buzzed with a text from the burner Sarah had given him. Urgent. Victor filed emergency guardianship papers with friendly judge. Hearing tomorrow morning. We'll try to block but need time. Protect Lily at all costs. The battle had escalated far faster than any of them had anticipated. On one side, a wealthy, connected predator with a private army and corrupt officials in his pocket. On the other, a group of outlaw bikers with checkered pasts, a dying mother, and a 9-year-old girl who had offered her last $5 to save her mother's life. For Lily Martinez, the night had just begun. For the Steel Guardians, this was no longer just about saving one child and her mother. They had stumbled upon something much darker, much larger than they could have imagined. But there was no turning back now. As Titan mounted his motorcycle, he felt the weight of Lily's $5 bill in his pocket. Some things in this world were more valuable than money, more binding than contracts. Some debts could never be repaid, except through action. "We ride," he commanded, and the engines of a dozen motorcycles roared to life in the night. The night air carried the thunder of motorcycle engines as the Steel Guardians converged on Phoenix's house. Titan led the formation, his mind cycling through tactical scenarios honed from years in combat zones. Behind him rode 12 brothers, their headlights cutting through darkness like avenging angels. They found Phoenix's front door splintered at the frame, the living room window shattered. Two unconscious men in tactical gear lay zip-tied on the lawn. Wolf stood guard over them, his knuckles bloodied. Phoenix emerged from the house as the bikers dismounted, her face grim but composed. A thin cut ran across her cheekbone, blood dried to a dark smear. "Lily's secure," she reported immediately, shaken but unharmed. Titan surveyed the damage. "How many were there?" "4, military precision, 2-man entry teams front and back." Phoenix holstered her handgun. "Wolf and Hammer got the 2 outside. I handled the 2 that made it in. 1 escaped through the back." "Viper, Paisier?" Titan asked. Phoenix nodded. "Recognized him from Afghanistan. Thomas Reeves. Dishonorable discharge after a civilian massacre incident got buried. Now he works private security for people who don't ask questions." Diesel crouched beside the unconscious men. "These aren't street thugs." Victor's escalating straight to professional muscle. Medic arrived last, having come directly from the hospital. "Elena's secured. I've got 4 brothers watching her room, and hospital security's been alerted." He examined the cut on Phoenix's face with clinical precision. "Superficial. Won't even scar." "Where's Lily now?" Titan asked. "Panic room behind my bedroom closet," Phoenix answered. "I built it when I started taking in emergency foster placements. Steel reinforced, separate ventilation, comms, supplies for 3 days." Titan nodded approvingly. "Keep her there until we secure transport." "Socket, what's our safest location?" Socket looked up from examining the intruder's equipment. "Compound outside Reading, old hunting lodge on private land, owned by Wolf's uncle, off the grid, defensible terrain." "Police will be here soon," Phoenix warned. "These 2 had suppressed weapons. Felony charges." Titan made his decision. "Diesel, Socket, get Lily to the compound. Phoenix, you and I will handle the police. Wolf, Hammer, dispose of any club-related items these men might have found. Medic, back to the hospital. Elena starts treatment in the morning, and I want our strongest medical eye on her." As the Steel Guardians dispersed to their tasks, Titan pulled Phoenix aside. Sarah texted, "Victor filed emergency guardianship papers. Hearing tomorrow morning with a judge in his pocket." Phoenix's eyes hardened. "Then Lily can't be anywhere Victor can reach her with a court order." "Exactly. Once she's at the compound, even if Victor gets his paperwork, he won't find her." Titan glanced toward the house. "How's she handling all this?" "Better than most adults would," Phoenix admitted. "She's scared but focused. Said she knew Uncle Victor wouldn't give up easily." "Smart kid." "Too smart for her own good sometimes," Phoenix said quietly. "She asked me if her mother was really going to get better. Wanted the truth, not comfort." "What did you tell her?" "That the medicine gives her mother a fighting chance, but that whatever happens, she won't face it alone." Phoenix's voice caught slightly. She just nodded and said, "The Steel Guardians keep their promises, right? Like she's testing if we're different from all the other adults who failed her." Titan felt the weight of that trust like a physical burden. "We keep our promises," he confirmed, "no matter what it costs." The police arrived 20 minutes later, two patrol cars with flashing lights. By then, the Steel Guardians had transformed the scene. Titan and Phoenix stood on the porch, looking like concerned citizens. The unconscious men had been moved to the backyard shed, their military-grade equipment hidden beneath motorcycle tarps in the garage. The first officer approached cautiously, hand resting near his holster. "Got a call about a disturbance, possible home invasion." Phoenix stepped forward, her Steel Guardian's vest replaced with a respectable cardigan. The cut on her face and the damaged door supported their story. "Four men tried to break in," she explained, her voice professional, the voice of the social worker rather than the biker. "They were after my foster child. My brother and his friends scared off two of them, managed to subdue the others." The officer looked skeptical. "Your brother and his friends?" Titan extended his hand. The tattoos on his knuckles were covered by bandages, his Steel Guardian's cuts nowhere in sight. "James Wilson," he introduced himself with his legal name. "Army vet, was visiting my sister when these guys showed up." The second officer examined the damaged door. "You subdue these guys with reasonable force?" "Yes, sir," Titan answered respectfully. "They're secured in the shed out back. We didn't want to leave them on the lawn for the neighbors to see." As the officers went to investigate, Phoenix murmured, "Diesel and Socket are gone with Lily. Clean exit through the back neighbor's yard." Titan nodded minutely. "Wolf? Taking the long way to the compound with the gear from those mercenaries. Evidence." The officers returned, looking more serious. "Those men have military-grade zip ties, plate carriers with the identification removed. This wasn't a random break-in." Phoenix sighed, playing her role perfectly. "It's my foster child. Her uncle is wealthy and connected. He wants custody, but there are allegations of abuse. He's already tried to coerce the mother, who's hospitalized with terminal cancer." The first officer's expression softened slightly. "The child is safe?" "Yes, I sent her to stay with relatives until this is resolved." Not technically a lie, the Steel Guardians were the closest thing to family Lily had now. "We'll need statements, descriptions of the suspects," the second officer said, pulling out a notepad. "Of course," Phoenix agreed. "But first, I should call Detective Sarah Morrison. She's with Crimes Against Children and is already familiar with this case." At the mention of Sarah's name, the officers exchanged glances. Her reputation in the department was formidable. "We'll secure the scene and call this in," the first officer decided. "You make that call." As the police secured the perimeter and called for additional units to transport the captured mercenaries, Titan stepped away to check his phone. A text from Diesel confirmed they were en route to the compound with a Lily. A second message from Socket was more concerning. "Victor making moves. Court hearing expedited to 8 a.m. tomorrow. Judge Harmon presiding. Known associate of Victor's social circle." Titan showed the message to Phoenix. Her expression darkened. "Harmon's reputation is mixed at best, known for quick decisions that favor the wealthy and connected. Sarah can't block it?" "Not with Harmon. He outranks her influence." Titan considered their options. "If we don't appear at the hearing, Harmon will grant Victor guardianship by default. If we do appear, we risk revealing Lily's location," Phoenix finished. "And once Victor has legal custody, anyone helping us would be aiding in kidnapping." "We need leverage," Titan decided. "Something that makes Victor back off, at least long enough for Sarah to build her case." Phoenix nodded grimly. "I know what you're thinking. Socket's discovery about Ascendant RX." "It's time to hit back," Titan agreed. "Hard." The hospital corridor outside Elena's room was quiet at 3 in the morning. Two Steel Guardians, Hawk and Ryder, stood guard outside her door like ancient sentinels. Medic emerged from the room, his expression troubled. "She's weaker," he reported as Titan approached. "The cancer's aggressive. Dr. Williams is concerned about starting treatment when she's this fragile, but waiting isn't an option either." Titan nodded solemnly. "Can she talk? I need information only she might have." Briefly, she drifts in and out. Inside the room, Elena Martinez looked diminished against the white hospital sheets. IV lines and monitoring equipment surrounded her like a technological cocoon. Her eyes fluttered open as Titan pulled a chair beside her bed. "Lily," she whispered. the word barely audible. Safe, Titan assured her. Phoenix is protecting her. Relief flickered across Elena's gaunt features. Victor? Made his move. Tried to take Lily tonight. Failed. Titan leaned closer. He's filed for emergency guardianship. Hearing tomorrow morning. Fear replaced relief in Elena's eyes. He'll win. He always wins. Not this time, Titan promised. But I need your help. Socket discovered something about Victor's connection to Ascendant RX Pharmaceuticals. Elena's eyes widened slightly. My husband found documents before the accident. What kind of documents? Testing, unauthorized human testing, targeted exposures? Elena's breathing grew labored with the effort of speech. Titan placed a gentle hand on her arm. Take your time. After a moment, Elena continued, her voice barely a whisper. Carlos, my husband, worked maintenance at one of Victor's properties. Found files showing Victor selecting Hispanic women in financial trouble, arranging for exposures, cancer clusters. Titan felt cold rage building inside him. Your husband confronted Victor? Elena nodded weakly. 2 weeks later, construction accident. Police said equipment failure, but Carlos was careful, always careful. Did your husband keep copies of what he found? Flash drive, hidden. Elena's voice faded as exhaustion overtook her. Where, Elena? Where did he hide it? Her eyes closed, strength failing. Jesus, statue, hollow base, apartment. Titan waited, but Elena had drifted into unconsciousness, the monitors beside her bed beeping steadily. He stood, mind racing with this new information. If they could find that flash drive, they might have the evidence needed to stop Victor permanently. Outside Elena's room, Titan briefed Medic. I need someone to search their apartment. Look for a statue of Jesus with a hollow base. Most of our people are either here at the compound or preparing for tomorrow, Medic pointed out. And Victor probably has the apartment watched. Titan considered the problem. Call Socket, have him loop in Sarah. She can get a legitimate search warrant for the apartment based on the attempted kidnapping. If the evidence is there, it becomes official police evidence. Medic nodded. What about tomorrow's hearing? I'll be there, Titan decided. Phoenix stays with Lily at the compound. If things go sideways with Judge Harmon, at least Victor won't know where to find her. And if Victor's mercenaries try again, Titan's scarred face hardened. Then they'll learn why you don't threaten the family of a Steel Guardian. Dawn broke over the city, pale light revealing the Steel Guardian's clubhouse transformed into a war room. Maps covered the walls, surveillance photos of Victor's properties spread across tables. Socket had worked through the night, compiling financial records and connection charts that painted a disturbing picture of Victor Ramirez's empire. He's vulnerable in 3 areas, Socket explained to the assembled bikers. His reputation, he's cultivated an image as a philanthropist and businessman. His legal exposure, if Sarah gets proof of his trafficking operation. And his finances, most of his liquid assets are tied to Ascendant RX stock. Titan studied the information. What happens if Ascendant RX stock crashes? Socket smiled thinly. Victor loses millions, possibly his controlling interest. But more importantly, it would trigger automatic audits from the SEC. Corporate records would become subject to federal scrutiny. How do we make that happen in less than 2 hours? Socket pushed his glasses up his nose. Already working on it, the company has a major investor call this morning to discuss quarterly projections. If certain concerning information were to leak just before that call, Diesel grinned wolfishly. I like how you think, brother. What concerning information, Titan asked. The pattern of cancer diagnoses among Hispanic single mothers whose daughters subsequently disappeared. Socket pulled up a spreadsheet, plus preliminary laboratory results suggesting targeted carcinogen exposure in these cases. Do we have those lab results? We will in about 20 minutes, Socket replied. I know people at the University Research Lab. They owed me a favor after I helped with their cybersecurity. The tests on samples from Elena's apartment are nearly complete. Titan nodded approvingly. Get that information to financial news outlets, investor forums, and the SEC simultaneously. Time it for maximum impact right before the investor call. Already prepared, but there's something else. Socket hesitated. Sarah called. They executed a search warrant at Elena's apartment early this morning. Found the Jesus statue, but the base was empty. The flash drive you'd gone. A heavy silence fell over the room. Victor got there first, Diesel growled. Maybe, Socket agreed. Or maybe Carlos hid it somewhere else before he died. Either way, we're proceeding without it. Titan checked his watch. The hearing's in 90 minutes. I need to clean up. His appearance at court would need to be as respectable as possible, a difficult task for a scarred biker with knuckle tattoos. As he turned to leave, Wrench, who had remained silent during the briefing, finally spoke. Why are we doing all this for one kid? Risking our club, our freedom. The room went deadly quiet. Titan faced Wrench. Because 20 years ago, when I was in Fallujah, I made a promise to protect a local family that had helped our unit. I told them I'd come back for them before our sector was overrun. His voice grew distant with memory. I was delayed by an IED. By the time I got there, the insurgents had already found them. The father was executed, the mother and their little girl. He couldn't finish. This isn't Fallujah, Wrench persisted. No, Titan agreed, but evil is evil, whether it wears insurgent clothes or an expensive suit. Lily came to us asking for help. She trusted us when she had no reason to trust anyone, and her mother is dying while a predator circles, waiting to take her child. He pulled out the worn $5 bill from his pocket. This is everything she had in the world, and she offered it to us. Wrench looked away, properly chastened. Any other questions? Titan asked, looking around the room. There were none. The Steel Guardians understood what was at stake now. This wasn't just about one child anymore. It was about exposing a system that preyed on the vulnerable, that turned human suffering into profit, that treated children as commodities. It was about keeping a promise, paid for with a child's last $5. The downtown courthouse loomed like a fortress of stone and bureaucracy. Titan, dressed in the best clothes he could manage, clean dark jeans, a button-down shirt, and a leather jacket with no club insignia, felt the stares as he walked through the metal detectors. Even without his cuts, he was obviously not a typical court attendee. In courtroom 3B, Victor Ramirez sat at the petitioner's table with two attorneys in expensive suits. He looked immaculate in tailored clothing, his expression concerned and reasonable, the worried uncle fighting for his niece's welfare. When he saw Titan enter, a flash of surprise crossed his face before his mask of respectful concern returned. At the respondents' table sat Sarah Morrison in professional attire, her badge visible on her belt. She gave Titan a subtle nod as he joined her. No Phoenix, she whispered. Staying with Lily, he murmured back. Safer that way. Sarah nodded approvingly. Judge Harmon's reputation isn't good, but I've submitted affidavits from Dr. Williams and the officers who responded to the break-in last night. It might not be enough, though. We have a backup plan in motion, Titan assured her. He checked his phone one last time before silencing it. A text from Socket confirmed. Operation Stock Drop initiated. Financial news outlets publishing in 5 minutes. The bailiff called the court to order as Judge Harmon entered. A stern man in his 60s with cold eyes and a perpetual frown. He surveyed the courtroom with obvious disdain before taking his seat. Emergency guardianship hearing in the matter of Lily Martinez, he announced. Petitioner Victor Ramirez is seeking temporary custody pending a full hearing. He peered over his glasses at the respondent's table. I note that neither the child nor her current foster placement is present. Sarah stood. Your Honor, Phoenix Wilson, the licensed foster parent, remained with the child due to safety concerns following a violent kidnapping attempt last night. Judge Harmon frowned. Kidnapping attempt? I see no police report in my files. The report was filed early this morning, Your Honor, Sarah explained, approaching with documentation. 2 armed men were arrested attempting to forcibly remove the child from Miss Wilson's home. They're currently in custody and have been identified as private security contractors employed by Viper Security Group. Victor's attorney stood immediately. Your Honor, my client has no connection to any security company or alleged kidnapping attempt. These are unsubstantiated accusations meant to prejudice the court. Judge Harmon waved dismissively at the documentation Sarah provided. Detective Morrison, this court is concerned with the child's current whereabouts and well-being, not unproven allegations against the petitioner. The direction of the hearing was clear. Judge Harmon had likely already made his decision before entering the courtroom. Victor's attorney presented their case smoothly, painting Victor as a concerned uncle with financial stability and family ties, contrasting with Elena's terminal illness and the dangerous individuals she had entrusted her daughter to. He referenced the Steel Guardians obliquely, emphasizing their criminal associations, without naming the club directly. Throughout the presentation, Victor maintained his appearance of concern and respectability. Only Titan noticed the occasional flash of triumph in his eyes. When Sarah presented the opposing case, Judge Harmon interrupted repeatedly, dismissing evidence of Victor's concerning behavior and Elena's explicit wishes that her daughter not be placed with him. He seemed particularly unimpressed by affidavits from the Steel Guardians, referring to them as individuals of questionable character. As the hearing progressed, Titan checked his phone discreetly. A message from Socket made him smile slightly. Ascendant RX stock in free fall, down 32% and dropping. Emergency board meeting called. Judge Harmon was preparing to rule when the courtroom doors opened and a young attorney in a rumpled suit rushed in. Your Honor, I apologize for the interruption, but I have urgent information relevant to this case. Victor's attorney stood. Your Honor, this is irregular and inappropriate. Judge Harmon frowned. Approach the bench and identify yourself. The young attorney hurried forward. James Collins, Your Honor, representing Elena Martinez. I have a signed power of attorney and new evidence that directly impacts these proceedings. Victor shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Judge Harmon reluctantly allowed the new attorney to present his information. Your Honor, my client has just provided a sworn video statement from her hospital bed regarding Mr. Ramirez's inappropriate behavior toward her daughter and threats made against her family. Collins presented a tablet. Additionally, I've been instructed to inform the court that Mr. Ramirez is currently the subject of a federal investigation regarding his business practices at Ascendant RX Pharmaceuticals, where he serves as majority shareholder. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Victor conferred urgently with his attorneys. Judge Harmon called for order, visibly displeased by this development. Furthermore, Collins continued, Ms. Martinez has executed a formal guardianship designation naming Phoenix Wilson as Lily's guardian in the event of her incapacitation or death. This document was properly witnessed and notarized this morning by hospital staff. He presented the paperwork. Ms. Martinez was deemed fully competent by Dr. Williams to make this decision, as his accompanying affidavit confirms. Judge Harmon examined the documents with growing irritation. Victor's attorneys requested a recess to consult with their client, which the judge granted. In the hallway outside, Titan approached Collins. Elena was conscious enough to execute legal documents? Collins nodded. Medic contacted me around 5 this morning. Elena had a period of clarity after receiving some preliminary treatment. Dr. Williams certified her as mentally competent, and I rushed to get the paperwork done before this hearing. Smart move, Sarah commented, joining them. Harmon can't easily dismiss Elena's explicit wishes when they're properly documented, and her competency is medically certified. Titan's phone buzzed with another update from Socket. Ascendant RX trading halted after 47% drop. Board members receiving subpoenas. Victor's associates jumping ship. Inside the courtroom, Victor and his attorneys were engaged in intense discussion. Victor's composure had cracked, his face flushed with anger as he checked his own phone repeatedly. When court resumed, Victor's lead attorney approached the bench. Your Honor, in light of new information, my client wishes to withdraw his petition for emergency guardianship at this time. We reserve the right to refile once Ms. Martinez's condition and wishes can be more thoroughly established. Judge Harmon seemed relieved to have an excuse to end the controversial hearing. Petition withdrawn. This matter is concluded pending any future filings. He banged his gavel and exited quickly, not looking at either party. Victor stood, straightening his suit jacket. As he passed Titan, he murmured, "This isn't over. Not by a long shot." Titan replied quietly, "Check your stock portfolio, Victor. I think you'll find you have bigger problems than one little girl." Victor's face paled as he hurried from the courtroom, already barking orders into his phone. Sarah gathered her papers. "That was unexpected. What did you do?" Socket found a pattern linking Victor's pharmaceutical company to cancer cases in women whose daughters later disappeared. Titan explained. He made sure the financial press got the information right before a major investor call. Sarah's eyes widened. That's impressive and possibly illegal. Releasing public health information to the press isn't illegal, Titan pointed out. Neither is noting statistical patterns. Well, whatever you did, it bought us time. But Victor's right, this isn't over. Sarah checked her watch. I need to get back to the station. The two men from last night are ready to talk, especially now that their employer's stock is crashing. Self-preservation is a powerful motivator. Keep me posted, Titan said. We'll maintain protection for Lily and Elena. As Sarah left, Titan received a call from the hospital. Dr. Williams's voice was urgent. You need to get here immediately. Elena's condition has deteriorated significantly. The treatment, there are complications. St. Mary's Hospital was in controlled chaos when Titan arrived. Medical staff rushed in and out of Elena's room, equipment being wheeled in, urgent orders being called out. Medic intercepted Titan in the hallway, his expression grave. What happened? Titan demanded. Adverse reaction to the treatment, Medic explained. Her system was too weakened to handle the medication. She's in multi-organ failure. Can they stop it? Try something else? Medic shook his head. They've stopped the treatment, but the damage is done. Dr. Williams says, he hesitated. He says it's hours, not days. Titan felt a cold weight settle in his chest. Does Lily know? Not yet. Phoenix is waiting for your call before telling her. Williams emerged from Elena's room, his face haggard. She's asking for you. Oh, he told Titan. And for Lily. She's lucid, but I don't know how long that will last. I'll call Phoenix, Titan decided. Get Lily here as fast as possible. Inside Elena's room, machines beeped urgently. Elena's breathing was labored, her skin waxy with the unmistakable pallor of approaching death. Yet when she saw Titan, her eyes focused with surprising clarity. Victor, she whispered. Withdrew his petition, Titan assured her. Your legal paperwork naming Phoenix as Lily's guardian held up, and his business is facing serious trouble. Relief washed over Elena's face. Lily? On her way. Titan moved closer to the bed. Phoenix will take good care of her, Elena. I promise you that. Elena managed a weak nod. The flash drive. Titan leaned closer. We couldn't find it. Was it really in the Jesus statue? No, Elena whispered. Carlos knew Victor would look there. Misdirection. Her breathing grew more labored. Real drive. Lily's locket. The one with family photo. Hollowed. Carlos made it. Understanding dawned on Titan. Lily has been carrying the evidence all along. Lena nodded slightly. Told her, never take it off. Never show anyone what's inside. Our secret. Her eyes filled with tears. She doesn't know why. Just that it was important to Papa. Titan took her fragile hand in his. We'll protect her, Elena, and we'll make sure Victor pays for what he's done. The evidence on that drive will help make that happen. Why, Elena asked, her voice fading. Why did you help us? Strangers. Titan considered his answer carefully. Because 20 years ago, I couldn't save a little girl who needed me. Because your daughter walked into our clubhouse with nothing but courage and $5. Because some debts can never be repaid except by paying them forward. Elena's eyes held his, understanding flowing between them. Second is chances, she whispered. For both of us. A tear slipped down Titan's scarred cheek, surprising him. It had been years since he had allowed himself to cry. Rest, Elena. Save your strength for Lily. But Elena wasn't finished. Promise me, she insisted, her grip tightening slightly on his hand. Promise you'll be there for her. Important moments. Not just protection, but life, school plays, graduations, first heartbreak. Titan nodded, his throat tight. I promise, the whole club does. She'll have a family with us. Elena's eyes closed briefly, satisfied with his answer. When they opened again, they fixed on something beyond the hospital room. Carlos, she whispered. I see him. An hour later, Phoenix arrived with Lily. They had driven at breakneck speed from the compound, escorted by 4 steel guardians. Lily ran down the hospital corridor, her small face tight with fear, the locket bouncing against her chest. Titan met her outside Elena's room. He crouched down to her level, his massive hands gentle on her shoulders. Your mom is very sick, Lily. The medicine didn't work the way the doctors hoped. She wanted me to prepare you. Lily's dark eyes, so like her mother's, filled with tears. Is she going to die? Titan couldn't lie to her. Yes, sweetheart, soon. But she's waiting for you. She's still awake. Lily nodded bravely, squaring her small shoulders. I want to see her. Inside, Elena rallied at the sight of her daughter. Mother and child spoke in hushed Spanish, their foreheads pressed together, tears mingling. The Steel Guardians stood guard outside, giving them privacy for these final moments. 2 hours later, Elena Martinez passed peacefully, her daughter's hand in hers, surrounded not by medical staff, but by the unlikely family that had come together to protect them. As monitors flatlined and Dr. Williams officially pronounced her death, Lily remained composed beyond her years. She turned to Titan, her face wet with tears, but her voice steady. She's with Papa now. Titan nodded, his own grief unexpected and profound. Yes, she is. What happens to me now? Lily asked, the question all the more heartbreaking for its practicality. Phoenix knelt beside her. You'll come live with me, just like your mom wanted. The paperwork is all done. And Uncle Victor? He'll never touch you, Titan promised. The legal guardianship is clear. Plus he has bigger problems now. Lily fingered her locket, the one that unknowingly held the key to Victor's downfall. Mom said you keep your promises. We do, Titan confirmed. Always. Then I need to show you something. Lily carefully opened her locket. Instead of a photo, a tiny flash drive was nestled inside. Papa said it was important, that it would keep us safe from bad men, that I should only show it to someone I trusted completely if something happened to him and Mom. The Steel Guardians exchanged glances of amazement. This child had been carrying the evidence against Victor for months, never knowing exactly what it contained, only that it was important enough to protect with her life. Titan accepted the flash drive with the reverence it deserved. Your father was a very brave and smart man, Lily, and so are you. 2 months later, the Steel Guardians clubhouse was transformed for a different kind of gathering. The pool table was covered with a tablecloth laden with food. Photographs of Elena and Carlos Martinez were displayed prominently, surrounded by candles and flowers. It was the traditional end of mourning in Hispanic culture, a celebration of life rather than a dwelling on death. Lily moved among the guests, Steel Guardians and their families, hospital staff who had cared for Elena, Detective Sarah and her police colleagues, neighbors, and school friends. She wore a new dress, her locket still around her neck, now containing a photo of her parents. The evidence from the flash drive had proven devastating to Victor Ramirez. Federal agents had raided Ascendant RX Pharmaceuticals, uncovering records of deliberate contamination, targeted cancer clusters, and connections to human trafficking operations. Victor himself had attempted to flee the country, but was arrested at a private airfield. The case against him was still building, with more victims coming forward daily. 2 of the missing girls had been recovered from one of Victor's compounds, giving hope that others might still be found. The federal investigation had expanded to include several of Victor's business associates and at least one corrupt judge. In the corner of the clubhouse, framed in a simple wooden shadow box, hung Lily's $5 bill. Beneath it, a small plaque read, "The price of salvation is whatever you can give. For some, it's everything they have." Titan watched as Lily explained the significance of the bill to her new schoolmates. She had adapted to life with Phoenix with remarkable resilience, though nightmares and moments of grief still came. The Steel Guardians had become her extended family, awkwardly but earnestly learning to accommodate a child in their midst. Socket approached, tablet in hand. Just got word from Sarah. They found evidence connecting Victor to 3 more missing girls in Arizona. They're executing search warrants now. Titan nodded, satisfaction warming his chest. Good. None of this would have happened without Lily's $5, Socket observed, glancing at the framed bill. Funny how something so small can change everything. It wasn't the money, Titan corrected. It was the courage it represented, the trust she placed in us when she had every reason not to trust anyone. Phoenix joined them, watching Lily interact with her friends. She's doing better at school. Teacher says she's gifted in mathematics. Thinks she could get a scholarship someday. She will, Titan said with certainty. and we'll be there to see it. As the celebration continued, Lily broke away from her friends and approached Titan. She studied his scarred face solemnly. Mom said you made her a promise. Titan nodded. I did. To be there for important moments, school plays and graduations and stuff. That's right. Lily considered this. I have a science fair next month. Is that important enough? Titan's face softened into a rare smile. Absolutely. Good. Lily hesitated, then threw her arms around his massive frame in a quick hug before running back to her friends. Titan stood frozen, surprised by the gesture. Around him, the Steel Guardians, these hardened men with troubled pasts, had found purpose beyond themselves. In protecting one child, they had stumbled upon a larger mission, exposing an evil that had preyed on the vulnerable for years. Outside the clubhouse, a row of motorcycles gleamed in the afternoon sun. Their riders, former soldiers, ex-cons, men's society had written off, had become unlikely guardians. Not because they were heroes, but because a 9-year-old girl had offered them everything she had and trusted them to help. Some debts could never be repaid. Some promises would take a lifetime to fulfill. But for the Steel Guardians, the journey had only just begun. And it had all started with the child's $5. Not for what the money could buy, but for what it represented. Courage, hope, and the belief that even in a cruel world, there were still people who gave a damn. Diesel raised a toast. To Elena and Carlos Martinez, may they rest knowing their daughter is protected. And to Lily, Phoenix added, the bravest soul among us. To second chances, Titan concluded quietly, his gaze on the framed $5 bill. And promises kept. The Steel Guardians raised their glasses as one. Outside, the world continued to turn, full of dangers and injustices. But within these walls, a new family had formed. Imperfect, unconventional, but bound by something stronger than blood. A promise paid for with a child's last $5. Epilogue. 10 years later, the auditorium buzzed with excitement as graduates in caps and gowns filed into their seats. Among them walked Lily Martinez, now 19, her locket still around her neck, honor cords draped over her shoulders. In the back row of the auditorium, 14 Steel Guardians stood in a line, leather vests worn proudly over dress shirts. Titan, now with gray in his beard, but still massive and imposing, watched with undisguised pride as Lily took her place on the stage's valedictorian. Did you ever imagine this day? Phoenix whispered beside him. When she first walked into our clubhouse with that $5? Titan shook his head. Never, but I'm damn glad we get to see it. As Lily rose to deliver her valedictory address, her eyes found the Steel Guardians in the back. She touched her locket briefly, a gesture of remembrance for her parents, before beginning her speech. My journey to this podium began 10 years ago with $5 and a desperate choice, she told the hushed audience. What I learned then has guided me ever since. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's the people who stand up when the world sits down. The ones who keep their promises when keeping them isn't easy. Her gaze settled on Titan. Sometimes salvation comes from the most unlikely places. And sometimes the price of that salvation isn't what you pay. It's what you promise to become afterward. The Steel Guardians stood a little straighter, these unlikely guardians who had kept their promise to a dying mother and her brave daughter. The road hadn't been easy. There had been school conferences where teachers stared at tattooed knuckles, camping trips where other parents whispered about the bikers, moments of grief when Lily needed her mother and had to settle for this cobbled-together family instead. But they had persevered. Every science fair, every soccer game, every nightmare, they had been there. Not because they were perfect, but because they had promised. When Lily's name was called and she accepted her diploma, 14 bikers rose as one and roared their approval, drowning out the rest of the auditorium. And Lily, Harvard-bound with a full scholarship in biochemistry, smiled at her unlikely family. These men society had dismissed who had become her most steadfast champions. In the Steel Guardians clubhouse, the $5 bill still hung in its frame. New members still learned Lily's story during initiation, and on the wall beside it now hung photographs tracking a child's journey to adulthood. Lily's first science fair, middle school graduation, high school prom with Phoenix helping with her corsage, Titan glowering protectively at her date. The Steel Guardians had changed too. Their reputation had shifted from feared outlaws to community protectors. They still looked dangerous, still rode loud motorcycles, still frightened those who didn't know them. But they also ran a foundation for children of cancer patients, funded scholarships, and maintained a network that helped locate missing children. All because a 9-year-old girl had walked through their door with $5 and changed everything. Some debts could never be repaid. Some promises took a lifetime to fulfill. For the Steel Guardians, that was exactly as it should be.